Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Friday. Farting around and learning some stuff. I've got this build here that the USB port broke off of. It's actually a little JST port, and then you have to use a little dongle because that's what Beta FPV does to save a little bit of weight. But regardless, sometimes on your flight controllers, the USB port, the port that you connect it to the computer with, breaks off. And sometimes they don't have Bluetooth built in, like the SpeedyBee stuff. And you're kind of stuck. Like, there are certain things that I will never be able to do with this. Like, know what version of Betaflight it's on, or update the version of Betaflight that it's on. Hopefully it's on 4.5. I think it might be. But it's stuck. It's stuck on this version of Betaflight. But there's a lot of stuff. Well, why is it so dark? Oh! Hold on. It's unusually dark. And this stuff isn't on. I was taking pictures of stuff to put up on Etsy, and I forgot to put this. Back. Here we go. 100%. There it is. That's a little bit better. There are lots of things that you can actually do in the OSD. I've had this happen before, and I've continued to fly the flight controller until it died all the way, until something else on it that's sort of critical to its performance completely and utterly died, like the 5-volt back or the gyro or something like that. And so that's what, that's what we're going to kind of talk about. How do you do that? What is in the OSD that you can tune to be able to keep using that flight controller AIO that the USB port broke off, and not have to dive into the insanity that is trying to solder up like jumpers or trying to solder the USB, or in this case the JST, back on, because in my experience you never get it on there solidly, and those pads are so close together. A lot of times when it breaks off, it rips the pads with it, and now you got to try to solder to the traces, and like that's insane. So that's the deal. That's what we're going to talk about here tonight. I want to give a shout out to why can't you search in Discord? Why is there not a search in Discord that searches the your messages? Isn't that annoying? Like everywhere else, you can search and it'll search the text within your messages. Huge shout out to B Kirk. B Kirk sent me. So I got a pair of Integras because I need a second set of DJI goggles. I am moving away completely from the old school V1/V2 DJI helmets, and I'm moving away from Vistas. I'm slowly but surely taking Vistas off of a whole bunch of builds, but I'm not going to take Vistas off of all of them because I have them and they're fine. They work really, really well. As like an FPV, as an FPV system, they're great. They're not great at being part FPV system, part HD video system. But yeah, as an FPV system, they're awesome. They're super durable, a little heavy, a little chunky, but not bad at all. The Vistas and the goggles 2 will both work with the old school. Did I just call these Vistas? The Integras. I'm getting old, friends. The Integras and the goggles 2 will connect to the old school Vistas. And so my parents got me the goggles 3 for Christmas, which was incredibly generous and super, super, super cool. So those are the main goggles that I'll be using for all of the 03 and the 04 stuff. They are not backwards compatible to the Vistas. Now that I bought these, it'll be 10 minutes from now. DJI will release a firmware update for the goggles 3 so that they're backwards compatible, and this whole thing will have been a complete waste of time. Not really. These are backup goggles, which is basically what I'm doing. I'm not going to have 2 sets of goggles 3. I'm going to have a set of goggles 3 and then a set of smaller goggles. And that's what these Vistas are potentially going to be. When I got the Vistas, when you buy the Vistas brand new, they come with a giant set of corrective lenses because they took out the ability on these. They took out the little turny knobs, and you can only adjust the IPD on these goggles, interpupillary distance, how close they are in and out, just like old school Fat Sharks. These guys are. And when you buy them new, you get a whole bunch of lens inserts that you can put in so that they're perfectly focused. I didn't realize, literally, like 1 week ago, I realized that I actually do now need glasses, because when I got these and I put them on, in the left eye, they were just the tiniest little bit out of focus, but it was okay. Like if I closed my right eye, I was able to get my left eye to focus almost perfectly. But my right eye wouldn't. My right eye was... It would not make that little last second, like... You know how, like if you're trying to focus, you'll have that, like, little moment of, like... When I would do that with my left eye, it would be okay. When I would do that with my right eye, it just wouldn't. There was never a time that I could get my right eye perfectly in focus with these. And so I grabbed the goggles too, actually, that I've been borrowing from Chris Wells. And I sat there with the little... What I noticed is with the goggles too, they've got little markings. The same thing with the Goggles 3. They've got little markings on the inside on the bezels of the lenses, and so as you turn to adjust the focus on the bottom, it actually shows you what your prescription is, basically. So I sat there with the Goggles 2, and I just, all right, one eye, and that nice splash screen, and dial it, get it perfect, a little bit far, too far, a little bit not far enough, a little bit too far, just like I actually spent a little bit of time getting them absolutely focused perfectly for each eye. And then I took a look at the inserts, and sure enough, the right side was at -2 and the left side was at -1. -1 is close enough to 0 where I was able to like force that focus to happen, but apparently -2 is out just enough. What I find completely insane is that I've been using Fat Shark's, HDZero goggles, Walk Snail. Does Walk Snail have the focus adjustment? Let's see. I don't think they do. But let's see real quick. Ah, they do. They do. Walk Snail does have the focus adjustment. They don't tell, and now these are out of focus. So yeah, I wouldn't have noticed it with Walk Snail, but Analog and HDZero, I've been flying out of focus forever and never noticed it because it doesn't look good enough to notice, right? Like Analog is Analog, it's fuzzy as hell regardless. Or there's something different about the HDZero goggles and the Fat Shark goggles that, like, I think the main problem is, so I have absolutely no problem focusing on stuff far away. It's just up close. And so maybe there's something about the Fat Shark and the HDZero goggles that pushes that focal distance back a little bit farther than the DJI goggles. I don't know. But, yeah. Sad days, man. I'm getting old. I actually should now get glasses, which, if it helps me focus up close, that'll help me work on these things without having to wear the nerd goggles. So I guess it's a good thing, but sucks getting old, man. I never had this problem. I never had, I've had like better than 20/20 vision pretty much my entire life. I would go take the vision test, and the doctors would always be like, "Oh wow." I'd be like, "Yeah, I did nothing. I just looked over there. I didn't work out this muscle at all." You know, like when somebody tells you you're good at something or whatever, and like you didn't do anything to like deserve it. You're like, "Yeah. Finally." Finally, I didn't have to work super hard on something to be good at it. Or if you're like me and just forever hate yourself because of mental illness shit, you're like, "Oh, I feel terrible because I didn't do anything." Because there's lots of other people that are, the reason why this person is shocked is there's so many other people that have probably done a lot of work and aren't just naturally as good at it. But I digress. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, shout out to Brain Kirk. When you buy the Integras, they give you a massive kit with all of the inserts. You don't need all of the inserts. So on a live stream last week, I said, "Yo, does anybody have the that set of inserts that can spare a -1 and a -2? And Brain Kirk came to the rescue and messaged me and very kindly sent me one -1 and one -2. I dropped him in to these last night, and yeah, that's it. That's my prescription. My prescription for up close is -2, -1. And these are now perfectly in focus. Perfectly in focus. And they look awesome. I did my first little mod with these. I took a piece of shrimp wrap, and I shrimp wrapped the easy disconnect silly thing here. On these guys, I'm glad they didn't do this on the Goggles 3. They put a little hook here so that you can unhook this side of the goggles. I have no idea why. I have no clue why you would want to do that. I'm sure someone is like, no, it's amazing to be able to unhook them. But I think it's a liability, and you're just asking for them to unhook at the wrong time and fall off your head. Other than that, these seem pretty good. I haven't actually flown with them before, but you know, they're goggles. They're very light. When they put the battery in the back here and you hold them, you're like, oh my god, the goggles weigh nothing. I'm sure that they weigh pretty much the same as all the other goggles. They might be a little bit lighter. They don't have the IPD adjustment. They were designed to be a little bit less expensive, so I don't know, but they feel super lightweight. They're comfortable as hell. I've got oh no, the other mod that I did is the NewBeeDrone foam. When Chris Wells sent me his goggles to borrow, the foam that was on them was no good for my face, and so I bought a set of the NewBeeDrone foam, and it's awesome. I was skeptical because wait, no, these are the Integras. No, sorry, I'm thinking of the goggles too. These Integras came with this foam. Yes, these came with this foam. I'm pretty sure it's the NewBeeDrone foam though, and it's awesome. It fits really well. The goggle strap can't be upgraded because it has the cable running through it, but it's just a simple black goggle strap. And that's about it. You can't update the antennas on these. You can't do anything about the battery. These are what they are. And so I'm going to start using them. The long and short of Integra versus Goggles 2 is the Integras have non-removable antennas. They've got the Goggles 3 style battery and slightly smaller field of view. The battery tucks up really nicely like this. They make a tiny little package, which does fit in the top part of my bag, which I was kind of worried about. So yeah, these might be my backup goggles. I'm going to test these against the Goggles 2. One of the main sort of thing that I like about the Goggles 2 are that the battery is separate. And so without the battery, even with the battery is smaller. Even with the battery tucked in here, they are a little bit smaller. And if I'm going to... So I have not been... When I have flown to gigs, I have not been bringing a second set of DJI goggles because I haven't had the room. I need a little bit of room for clothes and room for batteries and shit like that. And so space is the absolute... is at a premium. And the Goggles 2 are legitimately a little bit smaller. I don't think they're smaller enough. I don't think they're enough smaller to really have that be a deal breaker. But having the separate batteries might actually be a deal breaker. So when I go through TSA, typically you have to put the batteries in the tray. Sometimes the brand new scanners, they can tell the difference between batteries and explosives. But more often than not, I have to put batteries in the tray. And so Goggles 3 are going to be the main goggles, and they have the battery attached. So they're going to have to always go in the tray, but that's okay. I have that really nice low pro bag for the Goggles 3. So I'm going to basically put those in my little carry-on, not in my big silly backpack. And so if I then have Integras in my flight bag, I'm going to have to open it up. I'm going to have to pull the panel up. I'm going to have to dig in there, grab these, and then put these into the tray. The Goggles 2, of course, I didn't realize this until after I'd already bought these Integras. But I got the price that I paid for these, if I need to sell them, I can sell them for exactly what I paid. So it is what it is. Yeah. with the Integras, I'm going to have to dig through my bag and put these in the thing, and then I'm going to have to put them back in my bag, and it's just annoying. And so, yeah, a little bit of buyer's regret. I shit you not, I realized that either the night after, or either the day or the night after I bought the Integras. I was initially hot to trot on the Integras because someone had said that that they're the ones that are backwards compatible, and then there was a set of them that was available, and I found out they had slightly smaller field of view, and I was like, awesome, done. Same form factor. Oh, and the other thing, here is the other thing that I was all hot to trot on, is that they use the same Goggles 3 style little joystick, which I find to be a lot better than the touchscreen thing on the Goggles 2. That's just like an annoyance. There's nothing, you know, that was a silly thing for me to get all excited about, but same form factor, same sort of battery, same a lot of the same stuff. It was like, oh, these will be a perfect backup set of goggles. But yeah, the battery situation is has me kind of, yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. We will see. This is me realizing that I forgot to say thank you again to B. Kirk. So yeah, there you go. -1 and -2 inserts. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna remember. So on these little protective covers for them, B. Kirk wrote -1 and -2, and I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to. I do know how I'm going to. So these are the ones that were removed. I'm gonna put these, and these are marked R and L for right and left, as opposed to being marked R and L for rabbits and lonkeys. I'm going to put this -2 on the right lens. They also give you an extra set of these lenses that don't have glass in them. Those are the ones that you use for the inserts. And I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to put, this is left. Yeah, this is left, and I'm going to put the -1 in this one. Look at me, that's thinking with your noodle. Whether or not these stay on here is another story. Are you going to stay in there, little fella? Well, I mean, I guess at least if one of them... No, I need them both to stay. Looks like it's good. It's fine. It'll be fine. I'm going to put these two together, and I'm going to put a little piece of tape around them, I think. Yeah, I'm going to put a little piece of tape around the outside of them, just to kind of hold them together, so that if those little things escape, I'll still be okay. So that's, there's a little inside baseball for you. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Look at this. Just tape them together. A little bit of packing tape. That definitely won't peel right off of there. And there we go. If I made CiottiFPV battery straps, would you guys buy them? Does anyone fly anything other than TinyWhoops anymore? Is what I'm actually asking. Let me know. Let me know. My God, it's so dark over here. One of these lights did turn off. Why does this light keep turning off? Is there something wrong with it? Turn back on, you silly son of a bitch. All right, it's back on. So yeah, what kind of tuning can we do in the OSD is the question that we shall answer on tonight's live stream, as well as, you know, questions surrounding the meaning of life, mental illness, all the things that we that we normally talk about around here. Look at how little this light does when that giant white shelf is not in there. Off. Almost looks better with it off. No, it doesn't. And is it, oh, it's not at 100%. Oh, there we go. I didn't realize that I didn't run that at 100%. But this shit is going to look a lot cooler because I am finally finishing up the LED light strip project. I've got over here, I wonder if you guys can see it. I've got all of the LED light strips lined up over here. All of the connectors are now soldered on. Yeah, I can't get it close enough, but you'll have to use your imagination. All of the light connectors are now soldered on. And I have E6000, the top and the bottom of all of the light connectors, in hopes that that will prevent them from ripping the pads off, which is why it's taken so long. So I've got IKEA shelf 1, which is a 2x2, IKEA shelf number 2, which is a 4x2, and then number 3, which is 4x4. And so I've got these LED light strips in these really nice channels. One of them for the 2x2, and then I designed it to disconnect. So I bought 3S balance leads, male and female, and then soldered those. Well, it's 4. Soldered those on real short. So when you push the shelves together, I wanted it to be kind of seamless. So it would have been a better idea to leave the leads longer and then just loop the leads, like even soldering the leads in the wrong direction and then loop them and then the plug. That's really what I should have done, but I didn't. And so they're tiny short little runs. So there's a connection here, then there's a connection over here, and then I even did a connection on this corner. I did a connection on this corner, and I did a connection on this corner over here. And yeah, it just took a while. It was like low priority, but since I have all these shelves pulled out, yeah, it's I'm finally getting it done. Here's what the channels look like. They're like Musata channels, and they're on these little clips here, so you can remove them. There's one of the corners. This channel does not have the this piece, and so these specific channels. There's a guy here on YouTube that reviews all these different channels. He found that these channels are nice and thick plastic up on the top here, and that makes them so that the individual LED spotlights disappear. So that the channel looks like it makes it look like a single panel of EL, like an EL strip, rather than the individual little LEDs. So yeah, it looks really cool. I had it sort of set up a little bit for like a week before I unplugged it for the first time and ripped the pads off, and it looked awesome when it was for that 1 week before it broke. So I'm excited. That's gonna be cool. I have it set up to shoot a little bit of purple light, so it just like really nicely illuminates the matte purple paint on the wall back there. So I'm excited about that. More stuff, you know, just more stuff. In the chat, FizzPV was first. Sporny, Sam, Uriel, Rays, Chuck, Kazuma, Douglas 6, Levster, Brian Kirk, Frank Nicholas, Johnny V, Frosty, The Bruce, Dave S, McShaky, A1 Lee 30, Brent Anderson, Uriel, Dave S again, Brian Kirk, YouTube just did the thing. 7-0, License to Drive. It's awesome to have License to Drive back, man. What's up, brother? How you living? I've already had people messaging me like, yo, those mounts that License to Drive did are super cool. Where are they at? So I've been sending people to your website and your Thingiverse page, and I even sent somebody one of the new mounts that you made for me. My 3D printer, as you can see, is not over here ready to go. It's on the other side of the room, not plugged in. And so I can't 3D print that piece quite yet. But I did, hey, I did finally pull the trigger. Oh, look how cool I am. I said pull the trigger like a fancy businessman. Am I cool now that I said pull the trigger? We got 4 quotes on the gutters, and we got 2 quotes on landscaping / French drain to take care of the flooding. And finally got the last quote in yesterday morning, and decided on the cheapest. One of the gutter quotes was $10,000. One of the gutter quotes was 20-something hundred. And then 2 of the companies said, yeah, your downspouts look fine. You can save like $900 by just reusing those. And I was like, oh, look at that. Finally, someone has showed up in chat that's not just ripping us off. And so those and those were the 2 least expensive. One of them was $300 less than the other one. The one that was more expensive, I said to them, look, I got another quote, and they're quoting me out. This material for the gutters, do you guys use that same style or better quality? I basically said, like, hey man, there's somebody coming in less than you. Here's the stuff that they say they're going to be doing. Justify the extra $300 and something. And they didn't. And I didn't go with them. They completely ignored that, and they said, well, we can be there tomorrow. And I was like, no, that's not how it works. Like, so I went with the cheaper one. You know, like, that tells me that you're not using better quality stuff, and maybe you're using worse quality stuff. But B, like, you know, I hooked you up. I didn't just, like, disappear. Like, I gave you a shot, and you didn't take it. And so, yeah, I went with the less expensive quote. And then for the outdoor stuff, the one company quoted like $6 or $7 grand to do a French drain, which seems like an awful lot, right? Like, the whole yeah, a little bit of water is coming in. It's not like total chaos. And you can see where the water is coming in. You can see that the grade of the dirt is what's causing this problem, and the gutters. The gutters are certainly making the problem worse. And so, yeah, the other company wants to grade the actual land to give any water that does make it off the roof a spot to go that's not stacked up on the foundation of the house. And they were like a third the price. And so, as tempting as it is to do like the French drain kind of situation that I know that people that have real flooding problems have to do. I grew up in a house near a creek that had that problem. Yeah, I don't think we need that. This neighborhood is on a slope, and then the dirt slopes this way as well. And so, like, if we just give the water a path to go, it's gonna go there. Like, when I've gone outside when it's raining super heavy, when the flooding starts, it's very obvious. Like, you can see the water going right up to the side of the house with the way that the grade of the land is going, and then it forms a fucking swimming pool against the side of the house. Well, if I can see a swimming pool out there, that means that there's like 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of stacked up water, and that's a lot of water pressure, and that's why it's able to push through the concrete. And so, yeah, I think I made the right decision here. It's a little scary because, you know, I went with the cheapest possible solution, which I usually try not to do. Like, I almost went with the gutter company that's $300 more just because they're $300 more. And it's like, well, that money's got to be going somewhere. Surely it's not going to some fat cat's pocket. surely they're going to come do better quality work. Sometimes it's not the truth, you know? Sometimes that's not really it. Hopefully this is one of those times. But like, how do you know, man? You know, you look for reviews, and there's like 10 reviews from these companies' friends. It's super hard to tell, you know? Oh, what, you find somebody else that used that same company? Yeah, they put gutters on a year ago. They haven't fallen off the side of the house yet. Okay, I mean, that doesn't say a whole lot, but, you know. So, best of luck to me. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me to get me to stop talking about bullshit and start talking about FPV, type CiottiFPV. It'll light up an orange for me. I'll know that you're talking directly to me. Brian Kirk said, oh, Brian Kirk. B. Kirk. I didn't connect the two. Look. Wow, it's actually still somewhat in focus. Look. You guys you're killing me. You're killing me with one name on Discord, a different name on YouTube, a different name on Facebook, a different name on Instagram. You're killing me. You're not really killing me. But don't you dare ever take any offense. I'm not talking to you, Brian. Just in general. You're in the majority here. This is not me talking to you. This is me talking to all you guys. Pick a name, and stick with it across all your social medias. Because if you ever like talk to someone through any of these social media platforms and then you talk to them somewhere else, they're not gonna connect the dots. They're gonna think they're talking to somebody else. And yeah. So if I or anyone else that you talk to on the internet ever forget who you are, don't take it personally. Even if you have the same names, just be like, oh, they're just old and confused. But especially if you have different names, make sure that you don't ever take offense to somebody forgetting who you are, because you know, we all talk to a lot of different people, and then when you have different names on different things, it just, you know, people's brains can't connect the dots. And I feel bad when it happens, which is why I'm making an issue of it right now, which is why I'm talking about it at all right now. Because, you know, you guys support me. You guys remember who I am. I do use CiottiFPV everywhere, though. To, you know, make it easy on you. Just saying. But no, I feel terrible. I really do feel terrible when I don't connect the dots as to who you guys are. And I'm just like, oh, who's this rando? I try not to treat randos any differently than I treat you guys, but that's hard to do. Ooh! So I'm doing the off-camera here. I'm doing the frame swap on this Mobula 6 V1 build with the 40,000 kV motors. And I'm putting it into a Air V2 frame. And I've got one of the little TinyWhoop LED 180 degree BT 2.0 Jim Jams, and I don't think it's gonna fit through the hole that it needs to go through in this frame. I'm going to push really hard on it right now and hope that the plastic doesn't snap, and you'll get to see whether or not these work in this frame. I'm doing that right now. I could technically remove this shrink wrap to make this ever so slightly smaller. Ooh. Oh. Oh, go. Oh my God. This problem will affect no one. This problem will affect one person out there. I'm talking to you, one person. I'm doing this for you, one person. Oh my God. Don't break it. Hey! It's fine. Did No, it's good. That was sketchy. That felt I had to push hard on that. But I got it. There we go. Cool. This build is back where it belongs on 1.2 inch props. Whew, that was sketchy. That was ugly, having to do that. All right, cool. Well, this thing will fly better. These 40,000 kV 702s, it's just too much RPM for the bigger propellers. I kind of knew that going in, but I wanted to. I moved this rig over to that bigger frame specifically to test I actually motor limited this down to test the HQ tri-blades versus the GemFan biblades, 35mm S biblades. This is back where this thing belongs. This is cool though that this is in the Air 2 frame. I like that this is in the Air 2 frame versus the NewBeeDrone Light AF frame. It doesn't need to be as light as the Light AF frame is. That's kind of interesting. So these are the little screws that come with the these are the screws that come with the Mobula 6 old school canopy, and they are not quite long enough to engage with the with this Air V2 frame. So you're going to need screws that are a little bit longer than this. Luckily, I have them. But yeah, these tiny little Happy Model screws are not quite. They're not quite dropping down in there far enough. That's sort of annoying, sort of to be expected. These screws are M1.2. My guess is that these are M1.2 by 4. So you're going to look for like an M1.2 by either 5 or just get a 6. Get an M12 by 6. Some Happy Model stuff comes with the longer screws. Mainly like Mobula 7 with the V3 builds because it's got the longer posts on the frame. So yeah, if you find that, you can probably find some of these longer screws. I'm going to show you in 1 second the difference in length here. All right, here you go. This kind of sucks because these screws are going to be a lot heavier. Do I have any plastic screws that are long enough here? I don't think so. No. I need to get some like M1.2 by 6 plastic peak screws. Let me weigh these. You know what? We haven't weighed. One of the little tricks that I noticed in the Game Hat Pickle Rick build is, and I've seen this before, but I never really thought through it, is using plastic canopy screws. And that build is hysterically lightweight. So let's see what 4 of these longer screws weigh. It's not that much. 0.22 of a gram. It's settled to 0.20 of a gram. Versus these little shorties that are not long enough, which are, oh my god, that is a big difference. These little short bastards are 0.09, sorry, 0.09. So basically 0.1. That's a huge difference. Why is that so big of a difference? Hold on. Let me weigh the long boys again. Tear. Metal is heavy, bro. Yeah, sure enough. 0.19. That's a ridiculous difference in weight. Jason Ward with a $2 super chat. Thank you, brother. I will read it in 1 second. When I smashed this scale when it was not working, and then it started working, I hurt something. It acts really weird now. But it measures weights. I need to get another tiny little scale. I need to get another tiny little drug scale. That's what people, for the record, that's what people associate these little scales with, is las drogas. Just so you know. Don't be surprised if you have guests over and you whip that scale out and they go like, "What do you do for a living, bro?" I build robots. What do you do for you work in accounting? Probably make way more money than me. All right, let me get caught up on chat here. Dave S. says, 47-year-old here, just really started to notice I can't see for beans up close anymore. 2020 all my life. Yeah, my condolences, Dave, but we had a good run, man. We had a good run. Look, we got to see the world not burn. That was pretty cool, you know? We got to grow up in a time where, like, there was common sense and common decency. That was pretty cool, you know? We had a good run. Seems like it's all over, but we had a good run. So, tough to complain. All right, so here's the longer screws, and they do tighten down. One of the things I was worried about is, and the reason why I spent so much time with this, is that they potentially oversized the holes a little bit in this frame, and they would work better with M1.4 screws. But these are M1.2s, and they snug down totally fine. But this is the first time that I've run into this with a TinyWhoop frame. So, fair warning, the screw holes in this Air V2 frame might be a tiny little bit oversized. In fairness, the Mobula 6 2024 canopy, the part that some of the canopies are flat where they mount to the posts. And so when they're flat like this, the screw is going to go right through that flat canopy, and the canopy is not going to take up much of the screw length. The old school Mobula 6 2024, the old school Mobula 6 upside down ball sack canopy, it's not like that. It's like this. And so it sits up a little bit far, so the screw spends more of the screw length is in this part of the canopy where it mounts. It's also why this canopy, one of the reasons why this canopy is so goddamn strong. So it's like that for a reason. But here's a case where you might need to find a slightly longer screw. If you need M1.2 by 6 screws, I do not have them on my Etsy store at the moment, but I probably will. I will probably order a bag of 100 or 200 from eBay rather, and have them because, yeah, I like to be a source for the super weird, super hard to find stuff for you. And ordering a bag of 100 of them for yourself, it just feels wrong. It just feels completely wrong. There we go, man. Yeah, buddy. Let me show you what I mean about the canopy. Oh, we are in the weeds tonight. I hope you guys were ready for a In the Weeds live stream tonight. See that? See how the canopy has that vertical height? So that eats up a bunch of the screw. And like you would think that it would like drop down a little bit, but it doesn't. It doesn't like really drop down around the bushing. It always kind of sits up on the bushing there. Well, for the first like 1 second, this janky ass camera was in focus. So hopefully you saw it in that 1 second burst that it was actually functioning like a camera should before it decided to just focus on, you know, an anus across the room. That was a weird thing to say out loud. There are no anuses on the other side of the room. Can confirm. No anuses in the basement. There's one, but that's it. The camera was not able to focus on that one because it was not pointed at that anus. Brent Anderson says above, but I don't see any messages from you above. If you put a URL in your message, YouTube doesn't allow that, and they deleted your message because they hate us. Sorry. I wish I could turn that off. Euros is getting old. Your best ist on the nightstand, me, dentals, glasses, hearing aid, and Viagra. You're still okay. Uriel says, yes, chosen one, it will be fine. FizzPV says, got the Synolog 20 finished up last night, charging batteries for it, and yes, very cool. Raised FPV says, I'd buy custom Ciotti straps. If there's any interest whatsoever, the next question becomes, do I get 5-inch straps made or micro straps made? Probably micro straps made. And what I'll probably do is get a strap made that doesn't exist. There are micro straps that are like 160 millimeters and then like 220 millimeters. It's really hard to find them in between there, and a lot of times in between there is the right kind of length. So if I do this, the first run of straps. So RJX does this. RJX will make you custom straps, as I found out from eDrone when he gave me this one. And so yep. FizzPV says, I need M15 by 200 and M15 by 250 for strap sizes. Those are long. What? I'm assuming you mean 1.5, which is I believe is the thinner. I think most micro battery straps are 1.5. Most 5-inch battery straps are 2. Is that inches? Measurement? Are those measurements in inches? I don't know. I'm assuming that's what you mean, though. License to Drive says, before drones, I played with FPV on RC cars, viewing through video glasses. Have you stopped throwing up from that yet? I ended up getting several sets, and one even does 3D from 2 analog video inputs. Yeah, 3D FPV is a thing. A couple people have done it. 3D tiny FPV with TinyWhoops is even a thing. So 3D FPV, you have to be analog. There's no way to do it on any of the digital systems. None of the digital goggles allow you to put a separate thing on the right side versus the left side. So that's a little bit of a bummer. 3D HD FPV, that's something that I could get behind. That would be outrageously cool. But the goggle manufacturers don't care about a niche within 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 a niche. They only care about a niche within a niche within a niche. And fair enough, you know. Kind of insane that that Fat Shark built. And also, I believe that Fat Shark is who you'd have to go with. I don't think SkyZone, or I could totally be wrong, but I don't think SkyZone or HDZero have built the 3D functionality into their goggles, because nobody uses it. And why would you spend time doing that? But yeah, Fat Shark goggles will go into 3D mode. I don't know what is involved. I'm assuming that they're gonna pull video from the receiver for either the right or the left, and then the video input for the other, and then so you're gonna have to run like an external receiver for that second channel that you plug in. But yeah. Oh my God. Hold on. We're gonna do this right. I completely forgot. Wait, hold on. How do I do this? Hold on. We gotta do this right. I can't. I don't want to spoil it. How do I not spoil this? If I go, okay, perfect. So if I go here, Oh, you're gonna love it. I swear to God, this is gonna be worth it. Don't bail. Don't bail. Just hold on. Just hold on. This is gonna be worth it. This might not be worth it. This might be worth it. All right, hold on. Hold on. When I go to this, the audio is... Okay, so I'm going to play the audio through here. Here we go. Here we go. You ready? You ready? Okay. All right, so hit that, and then this will... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here it is. You ready? No, hold on. I don't like this song. I don't like this song. This one's better. Here we go. I love doing that so much. I don't care if you guys don't like it. 13 dBi. 13 dBi on this SparrowNet patch antenna. So 13 dBi. I don't even know what this little guy is. I'm doing some antenna testing, god damn it. I don't know. This is probably like 3 or 4 dBi, this little tiny axie. This is a horrible setup. But this is analog, and then this is plugged into HDZero. So this will actually be totally fine, because I'll take this big bastard off if I run analog. Hey, I'll never leave it on. It's just on for the LOLs. And then this patch antenna here is just basically 2 of these little guys. So this is probably like the same 3 or 4 or 5 dBi. But if you look at the directionality of these patch antennas, I'm actually really looking forward to this. So we've got 4 separate antennas. This one is facing hard right and is a cool, like, you know, double patch jib jab. We've got a little short Omni, and then my big water-filled head is going to be here. So in theory, when I fly behind myself, this Omni is going to suck because it's a stubby. We've got the same True RC Singularity, but up a little bit, up above my water-filled head. If you don't know, RF does not go through water at all, pretty much. This is the analog antenna, so we won't be using that. And then pointed off to the left here is a gigantic, what did I say, 18 dB? 12 dB? 13 dBi patch antenna. And with HDZero, you've got on the top corner, you've got the little display that shows you how strong each individual antenna is. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these version 1 HDZero goggles are the perfect test bed for, well, the version 2s as well. Actually, the version 2s have the 4 antennas. But so yeah, the HDZero goggles are the perfect test bed to kind of really see the difference in these in different kinds of antennas. And yeah, I've had all these antennas for 5-6 years, and I've been doing a lot of kind of cleaning up and reorganizing since everything's all torn apart. And I stumbled across them the other day, a little bag that I had with all these antennas, and I was like, man, I have these all from analog days. Like, I've used them once or twice, but I haven't really used them again. And a lightning bolt hit my brain, and I was like, yo, what a cool way to test, like, basically, I mean, shit, we could do this. We could kind of do this live. No, we can't. No, we can't. Because that goes to the... Yeah, I have to do this with DVR. But yeah, I'm going to go out front with a fucking TinyWhoop on 25 milliwatts and stand with my head straight and fly off to the right. And then off on the right, you'll get to see how good of a job this little HDZero antenna does. I'll fly off to the left. That's going to show you this big giant guy. What I'm really interested in is, I think at 13 dBi, I think that beam width... Okay, so antennas have a measurement in dBi. Long story short, the bigger the dBi number, the narrower the band. There's no real magic in antennas. If an antenna has a really wide coverage pattern, it's going to be a lower dBi. So the more omnidirectional an antenna is, typically the lower the dBi is. So it's weaker. It goes everywhere. That's what omnidirectional means, right? Omni, everywhere, directional. So most of our, like, stubby antennas, most of our omni antennas that we run have close to a 360-degree pattern. They always have a little bit of a null straight up and straight down, but they're usually really good. And it doesn't really matter. The straight down null goes into the dirt. The straight up null goes absolutely directly up into the air. This is why it's important to not, you know, especially if you're running patch antennas, you need to learn to not do what everybody does. Because if you've got a patch antenna and you're fucking flying and you fly like this, I don't know why my signal's so bad. It's so weird. I've spent $100 on patch antennas and it only works when I come in and land. I don't understand. Why? Why is my coverage so bad? Why is my coverage so bad? This is so weird. I can see behind myself, but only when I fly really low. Why? Pick your head up, friends. Pick your fucking heads up. Seriously. Oh, God. The Logitech camera tried to commit suicide. It literally just jumped off the desk. I had nothing to do with that. Yeah, I'm serious, guys. Like, you have to learn to stand with your head up. It makes a huge difference. DJI goggles, some of you might not know this. DJI goggles have patch antennas in the front. It makes a massive difference when I'm at these flying gigs and I'll have an area with a lot of interference and a lot of garbage and I'll start to see stuttering. All I have to do 9 times out of 10 is just whip my head over in that direction and it'll clear right up. It is so important. If you have, like, every single time your video stutters or starts to break up, your brain needs to go to, what can I do? What look left, look right. Like, you should know where you're at. Like, it's a 2-part process. The first part of this is going to be, when the video breaks up, stop blaming the VTX, stop blaming your antennas, blame yourself, right? That's the first thing that needs to happen. And then fix the next phase of this is going to be to fix the problem. And when you start learning how to fix that problem, you're going to realize that you need to draw a better mental picture. You need to have a little bit more awareness of where you're flying. Are you off to your right? Are you off to your left? Are you high? Are you low? High and low, you're typically not. I mean, if you're flying like way above yourself, yeah, sure. But you're gonna have, your signal's gonna be fine up there. It's more left to right, and so that's the deal. If you fly off to the right of yourself, you should naturally be doing this. The way that I do it is with hearing. If I can only hear the quad in my right ear, that's bad. I want to hear it in both ears. And so if I fly off to my right, I'm not going to hear it in both ears. I need to turn my head to the right. And like at first you're going to get like weirdly dizzy turning your head while you fly. And so you're going to need to get through that, but it's worth it. And eventually you'll be able to twist your head left and right when you're flying. The process of learning to twist your head left and right is also going to stop you from doing this. Because again, it's awareness. When you're doing this, you have no awareness. You're just lost in the sauce. You're just flying. You're usually flying something sketchy, or you're flying hard or whatever. And I'll still do it from time to time. Like when I'm all the way in it, I'll catch my head drooping down a little bit. But what'll happen once my head drops down enough is I'll get a glitch in my video, and I'll blame me. Where's my head pointing? And then I'll stand up and the video comes right back. So figure that out, friends. It really makes a big deal, especially if you're running patch antennas. And again, some of these goggles have patch antennas built in, and they don't really talk too much about it. So yeah, there you go. We're going all over the place tonight, man. We're covering all kinds of bases. I hope you guys learned something. FizzPV says it's called a diffusion strip. It is indeed on those channels. RaiseFPV says $10,000 better have been copper. It's not copper. It's a company that sells these. I mean, they are really nice. Admittedly, they're really nice gutters. But they are a high pressure sales company, and so they come in and they when they come to do the quote, they're like, oh, you know, after we look at the outside of the house, we need 30 to 45 minutes to talk to you about the product. And like Maggie booked them, and when she said that, I was like, that's fucking weird, but okay, we'll see. And sure enough, they sit you down and they do the whole like door-to-door salesman, snake oil salesman kind of thing. Oh, here's other gutters, here's ours, and I could immediately see where it was going, but the guy was on a roll, and I was like, maybe, you know, they don't talk about price at all for half an hour. And I'm like, you know, he's the one that's on the clock. I got nothing going on today. And he waits till the last second, and he says $13,000. I was like, wow, that's like 4 times higher than everyone else. Thanks for coming, but no thanks. And he's like, oh, well, hold on. Well, let's see what kind of discounts we get. We could probably get you some discounts. He said Maggie's a professor? Oh, okay. Okay, so I got you down to $9,000. I'm like, I just told you that you're 4 times higher than the other quote. I'm wearing this. Do I look like someone that can just drop $9,000, an extra $6,000? Oh, all right. Hold it. Well, okay. Well, what's financing? Financing. I'm like, no. Financing doesn't make something free or less money. And he goes, oh, well, let me call my manager. Let me call my manager. I'll see what I can do. And he calls his manager, which I used to do that shit. I used to call my manager. You know how I was calling? I was calling Chris O'Renick, 2 desks over. And Chris was going, yeah, yep, okay, yep, yep, okay, great. Sounds good, buddy. Lunch in 20 minutes, right? Yep. And then he says, special offer today only, goes away when I leave, $6,000 something. I said, you're closer, but you're still double, more than double. No. And he's doing the whole like, shake my hand. And I even told him early on in the process, I was like, look, man, I was in sales for almost 10 years. Like, on one hand, I respect the hustle, but on the other hand, like, don't waste your time. And so like I fucking told him, you know, like sometime when I was in sales and somebody would say that to me, I would listen and I wouldn't waste my fucking time. And so, you know, is what it is. They were this style of gutter where it wraps around like this, and then the gap is here, so it relies on the surface tension of the water to turn the corner and then to go like defy gravity and come into the gutter. One of the companies that quoted me offered that style of gutter guard. The super expensive company, the gutters are like all the guard is built into the gutter. It's really nice, and you know, for somebody who 10 grand is like nothing for, awesome. They're gonna look great. They're gonna last forever. I'm sure they're terrific. But that, you know, money has value to me. And so yeah, this other company has that style of gutter guard. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I talked to one of the other companies about it. One of the companies that quoted me, who also offered it. And I said, I was like, you know, that style gutter guard, you know, you can be honest with me. It feels like it would work with like light rainfall, but if there's like a ton of rainfall, like it's just gonna jump right off, right? He's like, yeah. He said it's they're not great for like super heavy rainfall, but they do never get clogged, which is nice. And I was like, yeah, the problem that we're having here is from mega rainfall. I'm gonna pass on those. He's like, yeah, go with the micro mesh. That's the way to go. And so that's what we're going with. And I did some Googling, and I kind of read the same thing. Like the micro mesh is apparently the way to go. Supposedly, sometime like after the really heavy pollen season, sometimes you'll need to have you'll need to clean out the micro mesh. But other than that, it seems like it's the best. So that's what we're doing. The money that would have gone to replacing the perfectly fine downspouts is going to these more fancy. There's like zip screen gutter guards that are really cheap, and then there's this micro mesh, which is quite a bit more expensive, but it seems like it's the way to go. So hopefully, no matter what, it's going to be better than what we have now. So Uriel says hydro turbine to get power. Craig says sounds like you made the correct decision. I hope so. I hope so. Craig says, we only need to remember one name, CiottiFPV. You see way more names. FizPV says, perks of having a lot of musician friends. Most are in construction, the trades, or landscaping. CMYK says, what's up? Craig says, have you seen or talked about the new Air 65 frames, slightly lighter? I did a whole live stream on them, and I literally just transferred a rig to one of them that we could technically fly. Oh, the build in the thumbnail is in one, actually. So now I've got two in the Air V2 frames. They're awesome. If you want to see a mega durability test, I battered the living shit out of this on a live stream a couple of weeks ago when I first got the frame. I'm super impressed, man. It's a little bit lighter than the Cockroach 65 V3. It seems like it's every bit as durable, if not maybe a little bit more durable, to be honest. I'm very, very, very impressed. Beta FPV obviously learned a lot from the previous Air 65 frame, and boy, did they go for it with this frame. And yeah, it seems really, really nice. Let me. Nick Burns just put a video out on it yesterday, and he said I didn't even think about this. He said he thought it was a little bit stiffer when you do this with it. And so I've got a Cockroach 65 V3 right here. So Air 65 V2. Yeah, he's right. This is not an identical build. This does not have a canopy sort of tying these points together, but it does have like a VTX tying these points together. Totally. Absolutely. It is absolutely stiffer when you do this. Whether or not that has any effect on anything, God only knows. That could be worse. When you introduce stiffness here, it might not absorb the energy of crashes. There's just no way of telling. What I do know is that the Cockroach 65 V3 frame has been damn near indestructible, is pretty lightweight, is one of the lightest weight frames, and it's got the hooks on it for the really cool batwing mounts. Nothing wrong with the Cockroach 65 V3, but the Air 65 V2 is like 0.2 or 0.3 of a gram lighter. And other than having a very small gap here for the battery lead to go through, it's been awesome. So yeah, it's a great frame. Look at that. Yeah. We got kind of, sort of ebony and ivory going on over here. Hey, let me throw some props on this, and then we'll weigh it, because that's what we do around here. We weigh all the things. Weigh all the things. Chaos Wonder says, where do the NewBeeDrone props stack up against the GemFan and the HQ ultralights? Great question. The NewBeeDrone propellers are very well balanced, and they're very lightweight, but they are very fragile. I usually bend the ASI props when I'm installing them. And so I'll put a fresh set on, I'll take off, and one will be out of balance, because in the process of pushing the propeller down, I will put a little bit too much force on one of the blades, and then it'll just be off. If that doesn't happen, as soon as I start crashing them, the blades get bent to the point where they start vibrating, and so they, for a little while, it was kind of worth it for people that didn't crash a lot. But now that HQ has come out with these ultralights, it's not really worth it. Although, here's what I will say. The ASI props don't typically break at the hub like these HQ ultralights do. So, if you don't crash a lot, and if you're going to fly your 1.2-inch prop whoop in areas that are unrecoverable, over water, over like the rooftops, over trees, and you don't crash a lot, and you can be ultra careful when you're pushing the ASI props on. The ASI props, the inner diameter is definitely too small, so you absolutely need a 0.99 millimeter drill bit to drill the ASI props out. That way you don't have to push really hard when you're installing them, which is one of the reasons why you're accidentally hitting a blade and bending it. So make sure you drill the ASI props out to 0.99. These drill bits are available over on my Etsy store, which is linked on CiottiFPV.com. If you're going to fly unrecoverable and you want the lightest weight prop, that's what the ASI props are for. These HQ ultralights, the hubs are very fragile. If you crash a lot, though, these HQ ultralights are the way to go. The blades and where the blade connects to the hub is way stronger and way more durable. And these are not that fragile. Like, yes, when the hub breaks on these, you're fucked. You can't fly that rig home. And that's a problem, right? And so the hubs on the ASI props are way stronger than the hubs on these HQs, is basically what I'm getting at here. But for freestyling around the house, these HQ props are the jam. They are just amazing. You can get them in a bunch of different colors. You can get them in this awesome red from WeBleed. They're just fantastic propellers. The hubs don't break that often for it to be a deal breaker. And if you're just flying around at home, who cares if the hub breaks, right? Replace it, move on with your life. Again, they don't break often enough where it's like a deal breaker. I think, as an example for you, I believe all of the racers run the HQ ultralights, and when they crash hard. And if the hub breaks, they're done. They're out of that race, and that's a big deal. So, you know, like I said, the hubs don't break that often. But they do. They do absolutely break. And if they break at the worst possible time, you could lose the entire TinyWhoop. Yeah, there you go. I like the ASI props sort of like the least, I guess I could say. But they are actually like usable. If you want, and then on the other side of the equation, if you want the most durable possible propeller, that is the GemFan 1210. Hands down, they are bomb-proof. The hub is really thick, and they are kind of a heavy propeller for the fact that they're just a biblade. But you'll never, ever have to worry about the hub breaking or the blades breaking off. They are just infinitely durable, just like the 1610s. The GemFan 1610 is my favorite 1.6-inch prop. because of how durable it is. And I tend to fly 1.6-inch prop rigs in areas that are unrecoverable, up over trees, right? These are my 2S rigs. But even 1S rigs, you know, a 1.6-inch build is going to get flown outside primarily, not inside. And when you're outside, even if you're just flying around in the street, if you crash in the street and you can't take back off, you might get run over. It's happened to me more than once, and it sucks. Jason Ward with a $1.99 super chat. Sorry it took me a minute to get to it, brother. He says, is the HDZero Lux cam digital or analog? rxtxcolor? What's that mean? What's rxtxcolor mean? I think the HDZero cameras and system is considered to be digital, but like, why does that matter? Like, you can only use that camera on HDZero. Like, you can't use the HDZero Lux cam on an analog VTX. It's the HDZero stuff is its own little ecosystem. So yeah, I'm curious what you're kind of getting at there. And what does rxtxcolor mean? Oh, the wiring. Oh, I see what you're asking. I know what you're asking. HDZero Lux cam is it is power voltage video. It's a 3-plug, right? I'm pretty sure it's a 3-wire. It's a 3-wire setup. Wait a second. Does the fact that it's a 3-wire setup mean that it is actually analog? Is it feeding analog video into HDZero? And then the HDZero transmission is digital? Hold on a second. HDZero Lux. Oh my god. I just spelled camera CO bracket left AMCER. Oh wow, no, I'm wrong. It is absolutely digital, and it's 4 wires. I forgot. Why did I think it was 3-wire? Whatever. Yeah. Both HDZero cameras are 4-wire. Wow, I completely forgot that. It was the one generation before these cameras that was the 3-wire setup. Good call, dude. Thank you for the support, brother. Craig says, oops, you just mentioned the Air 65 V2 frame, no worries. Uriel says, wipe your evidence off your scale. There's nothing to wipe, I swear. CMYK says, yes, battery straps. Cool. Uriel says, do you... Craig says, any news of the custom 3D printed Whoop boxes? None whatsoever. I keep bugging. I'll bug custom again. He's a busy guy. It's also sort of obvious that he doesn't make much money off of those cases. Because if he did, he would probably be more into it. Any up? No. Bumping this up. There we go. Cool. Send him a little reminder. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to have priorities. It's okay that this is not his top priority. Even though it's one of our priorities, you know, he's obviously got stuff going on, and that's okay. That's fine. FizzPV says, for big battery on Cinelog 20 and larger one for M 4-inch. Is there a question in there? I'm missing it. Mick Bucas says, hello, my last 3 Air 65 5-in-1s have broken the RTX in as little as 2 days of racing. Jesus. Not crashing hard. Do you know if this is a thing now? I don't. That's a bit much, though. If they let go that quickly, you need to get in touch with Beta FPV and be like, yo, you guys need to help me out here. This is bullshit. I would get in touch with both Beta FPV and whoever you bought it from, and just be like, you know, this is unacceptable. This is not just one. This is absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully they'll help you out. A lot of times they will. License to Drive says those 3D video glasses have 2 VGA inputs. Very cool. FizzPV says stock for Cinelog is 1.2 inch as measured. Stock what for Cinelog is not 1.2 inch, half an inch. B-Mud Skipper's in the house. He says, hey, I had a bad experience charging a TinyWhoop 450 mAh2S, igniting or charging with the supplied Beta FPV cheapo USB charger. We were able to put the fire out, no harm. Ooh, that's scary. Yeah, those cheapo USB chargers, they've always sketched me out a little bit. Like, on one hand, it's like, they're only 5 volt. How bad could it be? But, you know, voltage is not the whole story. That's scary, brother. Glad that there was no harm done, but that's creepy. So there you go. There's your public service announcement, friends. Use good chargers. Spend the $25 or whatever it is to get a proper Vi-Fly charger. I've never heard of a Vi-Fly charger lighting a battery on fire. But, you know, a little cheapo USB charger that Beta FPV is literally throwing into their bind and fly stuff, they're going to make that as cheaply as they possibly can. B-Mud Skipper also says, I want to raise awareness to the fire risk of charging unattended. Thankfully, I was close by. Please take batteries serious, everyone. No damage to the battery. I inspect every time I charge. Yeah, even tiny. I mean, I've seen 1S battery. I've seen fully charged 1S batteries get punctured, and they've never shot fire. They've only ever shot smoke. The smoke is hot, but like it seems like 1S is kind of immune from like insane levels of precaution, but don't charge batteries unattended. Put your charger somewhere near where you're going to be, and if a battery goes off, you will hear it, you will smell it, and you will not burn your house down. So yeah, 2S, absolutely. 2S is a, 8.6 volts fully charged. That's legit. That'll shoot a fireball. You got that charging on your carpet, that'll light your carpet on fire. That'll light your house on fire. So yeah, respect all batteries when they're charging, and keep the chargers somewhat near you. Uriel says, you have a water fit head. Don't sit near the heater. What the hell's that mean? B-Mod Skipper says, I am shook. I like I am shock better. That's scary, brother. That is fucking scary, man. I don't blame you. That is your mangled finger moment, right? FPV has a way of reminding us to be safe when we're not being safe. And sometimes that can go really bad, and that sucks. But yeah, this was your reminder. B-Mud Skipper will be super safe with battery charging for the next 5 years. What usually happens with me is something happens and I'm super safe, and then I'm a little bit less safe for the next 6 months later, and a little bit less safe, and a little bit less safe, and then something bad happens and I'm super safe again. Speaking of, I think I'm gonna go to a dermatologist about this, because I think that I have cut off about half of the cuticle on my finger, and I'm starting to get worried that the cuticle is not going to grow back. Like if you cut your hand off, your hand doesn't grow back. You just have a stump for the rest of your life. I'm starting to worry that my cuticle that has happened to my cuticle, and that it's going to be disgusting. That I'm definitely going to lose this fingernail. There is a gap in the back of this fingernail. And so I'm going to have a Band-Aid on this finger for many months here. but I'm worried that this side of the cuticle is not gonna like regrow, and I'm wondering if like I did a bunch of research, and they're like, if it's really bad, go to a dermatologist. And so I think I'm gonna have to do that, because now that it's not like totally horrifying and I can actually like see what's going on. Yeah, I can't see where the fingernail is gonna grow from. Like, it removed a bunch of like the flesh and shit, which is where I think the cuticle should be, and so it just doesn't look like a fingernail is gonna grow on this side of my where my fingernail should be, and that's like super creepy, because that's gonna look really weird. And so, yeah, I don't know. B-Mud Skipper says, I plan to only use my multi-charger now with a balance board. The battery was a TinyWhoop 2S 450 BT 3.0. We are not going to blame this on that battery. We are blaming this on that charger. Okay? If, like, batteries are almost never the problem. And if batteries are the problem, you damage them. Chargers are what blow batteries up. Balance boards that are improperly attended or improperly set up, right? You plug a battery in with a dead cell. You need to check batteries before you put them on a balance board. It's not the battery's fault. It's your fault, or it's the balance board's fault, or it's the charger's fault, right? We are not going to blame these batteries for this problem. Batteries are almost never the problem when this happens. It's almost always you or the balance board or the charger. In this case, it was the charger. It's a super cheapo whatever charger, and it didn't stop charging the battery. It just kept pushing on the battery until it blew up. Or the battery got damaged and B-Mud Skipper didn't notice it. But yeah, we're not blaming the batteries on this. Matthew W. says, HDZero added a head tilt warning in a software update via goggle head tracking gyro. That right there is one of the many reasons that I love HDZero. That is absolutely genius. That is so cool. What is that called? I'm going to turn that on. That is an incredible thing to have built into a goggle. Cole Power says, are you off to the right? Hell no. Are you off to the left? I'm really more progressive. But are you high? Always. Are you low? Who are you, Little John? Nice. Craig says, speaking of Nick Burns, his camera does seem to focus close. You may want that camera instead of your suicidal Logitech. I've always assumed that he's just using... because he's not live streaming, right? He's just using like a DSLR or a Micro Four Thirds or a mirrorless, and you know they will usually have a macro mode and they'll usually focus pretty close. Cameras that you can also use in live streams are a little bit different, and you know I'm trying to use tiny little cameras over here to keep this area as unobtrusive as possible. You know, Joshua, for example, his where he films his top-down stuff is right up against the wall, and so he's got this really nice arm with a quick-release little thing on it where you can drop it down, and he's got a big proper DSLR that he can actually like zoom in, and that's why his down-looking stuff. Doing it on stream is a little bit harder. Euro says, this weekend is the Gay Pride in Amsterdam. Check it. Tonight it's senior night. Where's your dad? I think my parents are in Tennessee at the moment, actually. They're always on the move, man. It's so cool. I love it. I'm partially like so jealous, but at the same time, it's so cool. It's so cool that they travel so much and see the world. It's rad. They know how to live, man. Cold Power says HDZero needs power, ground, signal out, and probably signal in for control. I would not be surprised if it was analog HD over one wire. Yeah, I never really understood how they did that one wire setup, but I have a feeling that it was an analog camera. It was just an analog camera feeding into HDZero, and then it would turn it into whatever their protocol digital is, and away you go. Yurio says it's a scar. You don't need it. Maybe. All right, I'm caught up. Cool. We can do the thing that the live stream is about. There's only 15 minutes left. Jesus. All right, so we're flying this guy around for a minute here, and we're going to do some tuning in the OSD. We're going to see what we can and can't do. I'm going to show you guys the OSD, and then you guys can have an excellent rest of your Friday night. Matthew W says head tilt alarm is in head tracker settings. Set alarm to on or video only. Warn if video is being received. Set alarm trigger angle in menu. I'm gonna do that right now. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna wear these. I am gonna wear these ridiculous goggles because it's funny. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Who you know? That's got this much aura. Wow, these are heavy now. Who you know that's got 10% of this amount of aura, as the kids are now saying. Who you know that's got a goggle game this strong? You don't know anybody. Oh, the fucking battery's not plugged in. I'm going to try to wear these. I'm going to try to use these. It's not going to use any of the big antennas. It's only going to, because I'm running on analog, it's only going to use these two little antennas. And the patch antenna is obscured partially by this big ass 13 dB antenna. So it's pretty much not going to use the patch antenna almost at all. But we're going to use these. Because I actually want to add it in goggles firmware V950. I updated the firmware pretty recently. Head tracker settings. Set alarm to on or video. Only warn if video being received. Set alarm trigger angle in menu. So it's in the head tracker settings. Let's try it. Hold on. All right, so hold this button for the menu. And now I'm looking for head tracker. There's head tracker. All right. Tracking on or off. So I guess I have to turn it on. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh, that's too cool. So it's telling you what the gyro is. It's got little bars. And so there's a tilt bar. So right now I'm in the middle of the tilt bar. Now the tilt bar goes down. Now it goes up. And then there's the roll bar, which rolls left and right. And then pan? No shit. It tracks yaw as well. That's too cool. Okay, so tracking is now turned on. So there's a calibrate function. So put my head level and then calibrate. Oh. What happened to the roll? I lost roll. Oh, now pan. Oh, roll is now rotating. Oh, that's weird. I wish I hadn't calibrated. And then the pan is maxed out. Why is the pan maxed out? I can't get the... Oh. There's the pan. Oh, the calibration was really weird. Hold on. Let me put them on the desk and calibrate them. I'm going to put them flat on the desk. Give this 1 second. Oh, Sporny, you're right. Get a big stupid sticker on this antenna. Oh, you're fucking right, man. Yeah. Yeah, this 13 dB. No, it's still calibrated really weird. Whatever. Set center? Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to set center. That's the move. Maximum angle, 120. What's that mean? If I turn it all the way down. Whoa! No, down to zero. No, we don't want down to zero. Oh, I see. So maximum angle, so it's 50. If I tilt my head down. Oh, it was flashing a second ago. When I turn it down really low, let's go down to 30. That's not flashing, though. Oh, but I see. I bet you it's going to trigger the warning when I get off the bottom. So 30 is a little bit much. Let's go up to 40. So if I drop my head down, yeah, it's perfect. Yep, 40 is about right. I'm actually going to do 50 just for a little bit of extra leeway. Okay, so I got that all set. Head tracking is turned on. I'm going to go back And I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to go... How do I get out of here? I forget. Hold the button, I think? Yeah, hold the button. And now I'm back here to analog. There's no warning, though. I might need to update the firmware. It's not giving me a warning in analog. But that's cool. I know that exists now. Very cool. Wait, is there... maybe there's a warnings. Is there a separate part of the menu with warnings? Hold on, let me take a look. Source, image setting, OSD, power, fans, record option, auto scan, ELRS, Wi-Fi module, head tracker, playback, storage, firmware, focus, clock, input, go sleep. Where would warnings be? Battery cell mode. It's not going to be in power. It's not going to be in fan. It's not going to be in record option. Not in auto scan. Not in ELRS. Wi-Fi module. I think I might need to update the firmware one more time to get some kind of a warning. But that's cool that I turned the head tracking stuff on. That's pretty neat. And maybe it will. Maybe once it gets video, it will do a warning. All right, here we go. B-Mud Skipper says, how would you store 30 different batteries not together for safety? Lots of different LiPo bags? Yep. You can get tiny little LiPo-safe bags that are like this big. You're going to have to get them from like AliExpress or... I haven't seen them at any of the U.S. retailers. But search Banggood or AliExpress for like LiPo-safe bags. You'll see they make nice small ones. And they're cheap. And yeah, they're awesome. I have 2 or 3 of them. They're really, really, really nice to have. Oh shit. All right, hold on. I gotta unplug and plug this guy in. For you guys to get video. All right, it should be good now. Hey. Let me see something real quick. The null of this antenna at the moment is over here. Yeah, look, the video quality is not great over here. Oh boy. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I want to land it up here. I was just flying at line of sight. I want to land it up here. You! I want to land it. Oh, I'll land it on top of the dryer. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you guys are in the null of this antenna right now, and look, there's a little bit of like bipping and bopping. Let me adjust this antenna a little bit. Let's go like that. Is that any better? Friends, when I tell you that antenna placement is the most important thing, that's what I'm talking about. See the difference that made? I took the antenna, pretend this is a True RC singularity antenna. The antenna was like this. The Omni, the null of the Omni was pointed straight over there, which is like 10 feet away, but it doesn't matter. The null is like really, really bad. So all I did, I swear to God, all I did is I took the antenna and I went, all right, that's it. Just that little bit took where the quad is right now completely out of the null. The null is now like facing the back of the couch. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't have any warnings. But let's fly. So, what can we do for tuning in the OSD? So we're flying around and we're like, yo, we got no... Wow, that crash recovery though. Oh God. So we're flying around and we're like, man, this tune kind of sucks. What can we do about that? Well, let's see. To get into the menu, you're going to pitch forward and yaw left at the same time. Bang. You just hit it real quick with the transmitter. And now pitch forward and back is up and down. Roll to the right goes into the menu. And so we can see most yaw to the left goes back one layer. Yaw to the right goes to save and exit. Yaw back to the left goes back into the main profile. So roll to the right goes through these menus. Roll to the left comes back, but it stops here. Yaw to the left comes back to the main menu. Most of what you're doing is in profile, but there are features, and in the features is the VTX, which is super cool. Yaw left to go back a layer. In power here, you can change some of your scaling. If the battery scaling is wrong, if it says that you're using 11 billion milliwatts on a 300 milliamps rather on a 300 milliamp battery, you can change that here in the I believe it's IBAT scale. You can just hook a rig up to Betaflight to confirm that. Yaw left to go back a menu. It looks like you can adjust your failsafe. That's pretty cool. You can see that I've got my guard time turned up a little bit to 3 seconds instead of the normal 1.5. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was there. Persistent stats. Oh, that's pretty neat. LED strip. Oh, that's pretty cool. I haven't actually been into a lot of these in many years. So that's pretty neat. Bunch of LED stuff that you can do. And then black box. Oh my god, you could... Yo! That's super sick. You can change the debug mode and the sample rate in here. Oh my god, you can erase the fucking flash too. Does it take like 30 seconds? Yeah. I was thinking maybe it would do it quicker than doing it in Betaflight, but doesn't look like it. Let me blow on this thing to make sure it doesn't get too hot. Alright, let's give it a little bit more time. God forbid I unplug this battery while it's doing this and it bricks the damn thing. So without a USB port, you gotta be a little bit chill. Like, don't do weird shit. Oh no, did I hit it? Did I accidentally hit the input twice and now it's doing it twice? Or is it stuck in some weird loop? It looks like it completed. For the record, just blowing on the TinyWhoop AIO does cool it down a lot. Like, a lot. Come on, man. Erase the flash already. Hurry up. You can get your Kill All Carbon t-shirt over on my Etsy store, which is linked on CiottiFPV.com. There we go. Hopefully it doesn't go right back into it. Nope, it's good. I must have hit it twice by accident. Yaw to the left. Let's come all the way out of the menu. Yaw to the right. And then... save and reboot. Let me just check the battery. Look at that, I'm on 4.5. Cool. So this thing's good forever. Battery is at 3.6. That's fine. Let's go. So that was features. Bunch of super helpful stuff in here in features. OSD. Oh, that's cool. OSD profile. Will it change with my switch position? Nope. What if I go back? I'm going to put it into profile 1 with the switch. Go back. Ah, look at that. Yeah, so I have the switch in position 1. I'm now going to move the switch to position 2. If I go back and then back in, it reflects that. 3. Ready? Here's the switch. 3. Go back and out. And now OSD profile 3. That's pretty slick. Oops. Active elements. Oh my god, dude. Look at all... You can turn the... Oh, what? You can do, like, everything in here. Timers? Alarms? Oh my god. Invert? No? Oh my god, can you revert? Can you... What is that? Oh, look at that! That's pretty cool, man. BRT black? What the hell does that mean? Oh, the black level. I can see it around the letters. That's pretty neat. White level. Yep, it looks a little bit more gray. Look at that! Dude! Background transparent. Look at that. That's funny. Yo, look at all this stuff that you can do. I've explored a lot of this, but oh, look, you can look at the specific version, the target, calibrate. What the hell does that mean? I'm not going to do it. Let's get out of here. Y'all left to get out. Miscellaneous. Oh, that right. Min throttle, digital idle, FPV cam angle. That's a weird one to have in there. RC PREV. Oh, you can look at the stick input values. What? Yo, that's slick. The other way to go back is to go down to where it says back and roll to the right. That'll take you back. This battery is probably about... Yeah, battery's at 3.5. I don't want to discharge it down any lower than that. All right, next battery. Now we're going to go into profile, which is where most of the stuff is. Throw a fresh battery on here. Actually, I'm going to put that one on the charger. I did discharge it a little bit lower than I like. All right, fresh battery. Here we go. We're going in. Let's actually fly this a little bit because it is getting a little hot. Hey. Oh, I thought I could make it. I knew that was going to be close, but I thought I could just barely make it. Oh, God. Woo! Oh, really? That was so sick for like a quarter of a second. We gotta try it. You know we gotta try it. Nah, it ain't gonna be the one. Well, I missed the hanging gate, but that was shockingly close. Now that I've done this, attempted this so many times, I'm really starting to understand it. Ah! That's actually a different way of doing it that I hadn't thought of. If I go really far through here, I can just absolutely hurl it across the room. Oh, you bastard, you. Whoa! I never thought of going through the doubles from over here. Oh my god. I think I might have just lost the antenna. Let me check it. Do you still have an antenna, little fella? You do. And it's even still plugged in. Alright, so I'm flying around. I'm like, I don't have enough D gain. What am I ever going to do? Oops. I am going to center the throttle, and I'm going to push roll forward and yaw left. There it is. That's how you get into the menu. And now we're going to go roll to the right for profile. Profile is where most of the stuff is. Very first thing, if you've got multiple PID profiles set up, super easy to change them right here. Very, very cool. In PIDs, it's going to give you the individual values, but you can't change them. You cannot change these values. It's just showing you what the values are. If you turn off the sliders, I think you can individually adjust these. I believe that's what the S over here. I think the S means, hey, idiot, you're using the sliders. You have to stay using the sliders. I'm going to yaw left to get back to this menu. Simplified tuning. This is the sliders. RPY means that you're using sliders for all three, roll, pitch, and yaw. You can change this to just use sliders for roll and pitch, and then you can individually adjust yaw with the numbers, or you can turn them off. And now if I turn them off and yaw left to go back, and go back up here to the PIDs, now I can individually adjust these numbers. But the sliders are awesome, so we're going to turn them back on. D-gain, and then here's your sliders. D-gain slider, P&I gain slider, feed forward, D-max. D-max is turned off. What the hell? I don't want that turned off. I'm going to turn D-max up to where I like it, which is 1.2. I-gains are a little low. That moves up to 1.1. Feed forward is where I like it. I've decided that this rig doesn't have enough D-gain, so let's push some D-gain in. Go up to 1.5, and then we'll take the P&I gains up to 1.2. We'll maintain that ratio of 0.3 that I really like the performance and the feel of. You scroll all the way down, and there's a second menu here. Master multiplier is at 0.9 for some weird reason. I'm going to move it up to 1. Well, let's try that, and then we'll dive in. Ooh, yeah. Very obviously more D-gain. When there's more D-gain, it does this slow and smooth thing a lot nicer. Alright, it's now cooled down. God forbid I reach up there. Yaw left, pitch forward, profile, simplified tuning. You don't have to go down to go to the next screen. You can go up to go to the last screen. In this case, there's only 2 screens, so this goes to the same second page. Gyro tuning on. Gyro. Oh, this is the gyro filter. So you can turn the gyro filter completely off in here. And then this is where that filter slider is. So the gyro filter slider is up at 2.0. The D-term slider is at 1. I didn't realize that this was here, to be honest. So if I want to try to take a little bit of latency out, I can turn this D-term filter slider up. And I'm actually going to do that. That's pretty cool. Keep in mind that you have to save. I've now made a change here, moving this D-term slider up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to yaw to the right, and that takes me to the save and exit. And then we're going to go... Sometimes you actually need to reboot, but I don't think this is a change that requires me to reboot. So I'm going to hit save and exit, and we're going to change batteries. So you can do a lot of tuning right here in the menu, in the OSD, which is super, super, super cool. Never throw a flight controller away that the USB port breaks on. That is your smash the shit out of it flight controller that you should just absolutely abuse. Let's see how it is with a little bit less D-term filtering. Is there something I can orbit? Check this out. I saw somebody do this on Instagram the other day, and I absolutely love it. Whoa! What the hell? I lost video completely. You guys still have video. Why do I have... Why have I completely lost... I have barely any video in the hallway there. What the shit? Hold on. Let me get a feel for my weird antenna setup. I feel like it's... Let's try that. Hold on. Fuck. Fuck! No, I have like no video up. Oh, I have a little bit of video again. Oh my god, the video is so bad up there. You guys are... Oh, you guys are not getting great video either. You guys are getting better video than me, though. I've got nothing right now. I've got full static. I don't think the antenna is plugged in on that rig. Hold on, let me go get it. What's happening with you, little friend? Oh, yeah, the antenna's not plugged in. That's never good. Or the UFL ripped off. Nope, antenna's just not plugged in. Which is insane because I had E6000'd it down. Wow, it pulled the E6000 off. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I hope that didn't happen too long ago, because that's really hard on the VTX. Wow, how did it pull that E6000 off? That's ridiculous. I wonder if the antenna got caught in something. Yo, that's crazy that it pulled the E6000 off. I've never had that happen before. Look at, I don't think this is going to focus, but look at the blob of E6000 on there. See how I put a little blob of E6000 that goes up and over the plug? It pulls it right off. I'm going to have to use more E6000. I've been using less and less E6000 on these. Apparently I need to use a little bit more. Yeah, I wonder if like the antenna got caught on something and it like kind of pulled on it basically. That's wild. All right. Nope, I see what happened. This ORT Micro V antenna, you can like it kind of clicks in to this Beta FPV banana hammock canopy, and when it does that, if I crash inverted, it pulls on the antenna. I can see it. I can see what happened. So until I get that properly E6000 down, I need to just let this antenna be a little bit more floppy, because then when it gets hit, it won't pull. It won't pull on the cable. Check this out. I saw somebody do this on Instagram. I want to try it. It's a really cool version of an orbit. I can't believe I've never done this before. This is the kind of thing that I would figure out and kind of love. Check this shit. That's a lot better. So, regular orbit. And then you can accelerate it, but then you can... Oh, God. So, the way that he got into it was a really fast orbit, and then he just let it roll over. And he was doing it around like a bush, and it looked really cool around a big, wide, round bush. But yeah. Try that. It's basically, you're basically taking an orbit into a, you're changing where the subject is of your orbit. It's hard to explain. But you can put the thing that you're orbiting on the left side of the screen for one look. You can put it on the middle or the right for different looks. Again, hard to explain. Let's see how this thing flies with a bunch less D-term filtering and a bunch more D-gain. Still a little bit of prop wash. So, let's take care of that. That's it, friends. Zero excuses not to tune. It's that easy. You have a rig that's prop washing, do exactly what I just did, and a bunch of that prop wash is going to go away. Keep an eye on the motor heat in the process of doing that. Listen to the quad to make sure it still sounds clean, but the little 4 seconds that I just did will take care of most prop wash. I think we're taking the tent down. I'm very sad. All right, so orbit on the left side of the screen, orbit with the subject on the right side of the screen. That's basically all you're changing there. Oh, that was close. Holy. Hey! This thing flies great with the extra D-gain. Kind of surprised that I hadn't tuned this better. Still a little bit of a prop wash judder there. Did you see it? Yeah, a little tiny prop wash judder there. Let's keep going. Profile. Simplified tuning. We're getting really aggressive now. But that's okay. One of the ways you can tell if you've gone too far is to blast the throttle, chop the throttle, and listen very carefully. See, if you could hopefully hear it, the revs came right down. The motor spun up, and then I chopped the throttle, and the motor spun down. The motors did not spin up and then slowly spin down. When you're pushing the limits of D-gain, that's what's going to start to happen. Let me see if I can show you that. Throw another battery in here, and so we're going to go into the profile, and since we've pretty much maxed out the D-gain slider, we're going to go to the master multiplier. And I'm going to move it up a bunch. I'm going to move it all the way up to 1.4. This is probably going to overtune this thing. Let's see. Yep. So I'm going to do this with the throttle. Ready? I'm going to go full throttle, nothing. Boom, boom. That's it. That's what I'm going to do on the throttle. Watch how the quad is going to respond. Watch how the quad responds to me doing that. And also kind of listen. I'll shut up and you can hopefully listen. Ready? Well, that was pretty fucking obvious. That is a surefire sign that you are now overtuned. So let's back it off. Master multiplier down to 1.2. And now let's see. Now this will probably be just a little bit overtuned. Okay, perfect. Can you hear it? You can see it, hopefully. Ready? I'm doing that same thing. Blast the throttle, chop it. Wah! Wah! Hear that? If you can't hear it, what the motors are doing, the motors are going up with my throttle. They're not coming down with my throttle. They're going up, and then they're coming down. So you're hearing wah, wah. That is a little bit overtuned. And so we're going to come back in here. Oops. Yep, no, that was it. Come back in here. Simplified tuning. Master multiplier back down to 1.0. And that's it. This quad is now tuned damn near perfect without using black box for the current setup. As I beat this thing up more, it might be... Well... So, it's better, but it's still on the limit. You want to do these throttle blips in all kinds of different orientations. Sometimes there'll be one little orientation, like pitched back a little bit like this, where it'll go, wah! Or you'll just get a little tiny, like, wah! The main thing is, it needs to match your throttle perfectly. If you got to get good at this, my friends, getting good at slamming full throttle and then chopping that throttle quickly is a total key to tuning. And so, like, one of the tricks is to make the yaw springs a little bit stiffer so that when you push it up, it just goes straight up. The other trick is to loosen or even put a little bit of lube on the little on the inside, the piece that rubs against the throttle. You want your throttle to be super loose. I don't like it to be so loose that it falls on its own. I like when you can push it up and it stays up, but then like if you smack the transmitter, it might creep down a little bit and need to get pushed back up. That means it's nice and it's like on that limit. But you want a little bit of resistance, but like practically none. Like if there you go. That's the perfect test. Right? So that's how loose it is. And that way these springs are tight, so when you jam it to full throttle, you don't accidentally push a bunch of yaw in. And then here's another trick. If you pinch like this, full throttle is up, back down, you can literally do with just your index finger. So you can kind of get your thumb off of it, and your index finger will very cleanly push it straight down. Your index finger will almost never push into yaw. If you try to babysit it on the way down, it's very easy to push a bunch of yaw in. But just getting the throttle up and down quickly is an important skill to have. And it's one of the keys to tuning without black box. So this is just ever so slightly over-tuned. So we're going to come in here, and we're just going to back this off by 1 point this time. And now this is pretty much perfect for the amount of abuse that these motors and props currently have. As I crash this thing, it'll generate more vibrations, and this might be too much. This tune might be too much at that point. See me avoid that light at the last second there? That was pretty sexy. Proud of myself for that one. And so there you go. There's how you tune in the OSD. We're going to really quickly rip through a couple of the other OSD settings because I have one more charged battery, and then we can all go on our merry ways this Friday night. Sporny says the pointing soy jack would be the perfect sticker for the antenna. I don't know what that is. Profile. So we did simplified tuning. Miscellaneous PP has a bunch of cool stuff in it. Feed forward transition, feed forward smoothness. This is all the stuff that's in the top right corner of the PIDS tab. Pretty much leave this alone. These get changed with presets. You can use the little tooltips to see what these mean if you want. And these are a bunch of the angle mode things. That's pretty cool. Horizon strength. Next screen, anti-gravity gain is in here. That's pretty cool. Again, this is the right side of the PIDS tab. I relax type, cut off. Oh, launch control. Oh, look at that. Bunch of launch control stuff. That's slick. I like it. Yaw left to go back a screen. Here's your motor output limit in MISC PP. Auto cell count is set to 1. That's fine. And then this is back to the first screen again. No, this is the third screen in here. D-min, which is set by the S on the left there. It's set by the sliders. The gain in advance, I like to put those on 30. VBAT sag compensation is turned all the way up. TPA rate. And there we go. We go back. MISC PP has a lot of stuff. It's got all the stuff that's on the right side of the PIDS tab in Betaflight. Filter PP, I've never really messed around with these. Looks like it lets you adjust the yaw low-pass filter, which is in the filtering screen. The D-term low-pass filters are being driven by the sliders right now. And then, I don't know what this D-term NF and NFCO is. Rate profile 1, 2, 3, 4. Here are your actual rates. You can change your rates in here. This is where the throttle expo midpoint and the amount of throttle expo are. Super important. Let's actually check that. So cruising throttle, 30%, 31, 32, 29, 30. So I actually have it set a little bit low right now. Let's bump the throttle midpoint up to 30 here. Oops. Profile, rate. I'm going to go up to go down. This is that last page. And then the midpoint, I'm going to move that up. I'm going to move it to 31. Save and exit. That's one of the... Make sure you get into the habit of yaw right and then save and exit. Roll... pitch back and then roll right to save and exit. Oops, no, not features. We want profile. So that was rate. Filter GLB, probably for global. The gyro low passes are set by the sliders. And then... I guess this is just the oh yeah, NF for notch filter. Gyro notch filter 1, notch filter 2. And then which gyro to use. That's pretty cool if it's a multi-gyro setup. So there you go. Dynamic filter is even in here. How many notches, what the Q factor is. Oh, wow. You know what's cool about this? Oh, wait, no. Never mind. Yeah, the Q factor is really low. Why is it 250? Let's bring it up to 300. That's a super wide. At 250, that Q factor is super wide. That's crazy. This matrix came with an interesting tune on it. Yaw left to go back. Copy the profile. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it. And then down goes to the end. Save and reboot, I guess because of that change that I made. Filter changes require a reboot, apparently. Good to know. And that, my friends, I believe, is everything in the OSD. There's a lot, man. Like, you can change so much stuff in here. I'm really glad that I did this because I kind of forgot that there were some of these things. And there's some stuff that's buried in the CLI. This background, and then the levels of for the OSD. I've never seen that before. This is really slick, man. I'm super glad that we did this. RC preview? What the hell is that? Oh, yeah, right. There's the sticks. So there you go. Never throw an OSD away again. Never throw an AIO or a flight controller away again. Because you can do damn near everything. Unbelievable. You can do damn near everything in the OSD. It nipped. It nipped those gates. It went... It nipped those as well. I'm nipping all the gates all of a sudden. Come on, baby. This is the one. No! That was the one. I was set up perfectly after the mega power loop. Oh, boy. Oh, my God, it happened again! This is like 2 times in the last 2 weeks. It is so hard to get out of here because there's no indication of like up and down. It's also small in here. I'm sure it doesn't help that I'm creating all kinds of updrafts and downdrafts and... Get out of there, yeah! Woo! There it is, friends. Oh, man! Look at all that pressure from all these antennas. I do not recommend this antenna setup. But this is going to be cool, man. I'm actually really looking forward to flying some HDZero outside and seeing the difference between these antennas. And hopefully this will allow me to show you what a patch antenna does with a super high dBi and a super narrow beam width. I hope you guys learned something. I did. I absolutely learned something. I learned a bunch of stuff. I hope you guys did as well. And I hope that someday, if you have a USB port break off of a flight controller, you remember this and don't throw it away and save yourself some money, because the future of FPV is very strange right now. And we might need to like use the gear that we've got forever. And so, you know, stuff like this could be super valuable. Hopefully not. Hopefully this country gets its head out of its ass and starts doing things that make any remote semblance of common sense again. But You never know, man. You never know. It ain't looking great. That's for fucking sure. By the way, this build is NewBeeDrone Air 65 V2 frame. These are Weebleed 0702 40,000 kV motors. HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers. Matrix AIO, the heavy one. Beta FPV, G-string canopy, CO3 camera, and ORT micro V antenna. FizzPV says, love the kick view. You can FPV with the last live stream of the last comment of the live stream. He says, dude, one time I landed in a washing machine and it has a center agitator and somehow I made it out. Nice. Thanks for hanging, my friends. I'll see you guys on Sunday at 3 o'clock. The Air 65 V2 frame is still holding up really well. Be good, my friends. Have an excellent rest of your Friday night. Thanks for hanging. Here's some more flying from TinyWhoop Open. 2S 75mm 04 rig. So much fun to fly. Computer, come on, man. Come on, computer. It's just a little video. You can do this. Do this. There it is. Love you. Bye. See you guys Sunday. CiottiFPV.com. Support me while I'll teach you more stuff forever. Later.